Market update. What is currently happening in crypto? Well, things are kind of moving, right? So let's get the big one. You've got Bitcoin, and we did have a CME gap. Okay, because on Sunday, what happened on Sunday? We ended up tanking on Sunday, and what was going on? Well, there was this weird whales were hunting this 449 million short position, and this guy kept adding more money. He was at a 40x leverage, which is freaking ridiculous, and guys were trying to get him liquidated, which is funny because this is a $1 trillion market cap. And then on Sunday, where you have no volume, you have guys that are trying to short hunt one of these big whales. And truthfully, a 449 million short is not the biggest because shorts are around $8 billion right now is what we have in the market. So if I'm just being concise, we had a dump, then we had a pump once the CME futures opened last night, and it completely cleared the gap. We had a gap, and it ended up getting filled basically during the Asian markets that opened. So we tend to see these always get filled. Yet right now, there is a small gap that has not been filled at around 85,000 to 86,000. And right now, the stock market for Bitcoin is, I wouldn't say stock market because it's the crypto market, is currently at 84,000. So that is something to look at. And then also for Ethereum, because most of these guys do end up getting closed. And there is a big gap at 2,500 to 2,700. Then there's another big gap at 2,900 to 3,000. So there's something happening because, again, last night with that whale shorting everything and the market going crazy, we had a CME gap that got filled again during the Asian market open, right? And then the London market, or I would say the Europe market, ended up sticking with it and filling it out. But as far as the CME futures, what does this look like? To any novice trader, this is a standard ascending triangle, okay? And usually what you do with these is they tend to break out to the upside. Not always, but they do. And so that is a 2,100 Ethereum finally hitting the bottom. And as my title says, okay, so if I look back at perpetual contracts and I looked at, we have a broadening wedge. So broadening wedges usually bounce to the upside as well. So here, let me get this out here and we'll just draw this broadening wedge. So you have stocks that go up, 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 and then you've got a wedge pattern that gets bigger and bigger. And they end up tending to hit support and then bouncing. But they tend to bounce off and get rejected from resistance as well. But they do end up breaking out at some point. It's just a matter of pressure. And lately, we have not seen it tested up to the upside in a while. And where is this upside target? This upside target is right around 2,100, right where I said that ascending triangle break would be. And hey, what's up, dude, as well? If you've been around this long, man, we've had a lot of harsh last 3 months. Trump was really supposed to help, and I'll give a small thought on that as well. But here, let me just zoom in, okay? Because I have a big position in Ethereum that's open, so it's important for me to talk about. Right now, we have a support line. We have a trend line. Again, this is that ascending triangle, which its target is right around the 2,100. We need to break above 2,000. It's just that psychological mind game deal. So we've got to break above that. Ethereum's been having a hard time, but I want to show you something interesting on most charts. So let's look here at Solana. And this is major bullish for Solana, major bullish for Solana. Yeah, here, let me get rid of some of these EMA clouds. Ideally, I want to get above this green line. This green line is a 21 EMA, and that's pretty much on the weekly. It is a basically telling you, hey, you should go long or should go short. So that is one conflicting deal, is it's telling me you should go short on Solana because we're below this 21 EMA. And let me just, I guess, get back to where this whole bull market started down here when we were at 25. And when it crossed above, candle started crossing above, they pretty much just touched the 21 EMA on the weekly for a long time, right? So that's something to look at. But here, I'm digressing. Let me just exit out of that and show you what really is important about this. And it's this guy right here. It is this weekly candle, okay? This weekly candle is a reversal candle, and it's super strong on higher time frames. Yeah, you've got 129 Solana, but it is holding this support trend line of around 117, which is strong. I haven't even gotten out the volume, but I guess maybe I'll get out the volume here just so that we can see. Oh, I don't want fixed. Let's do the visible. And okay, it's telling me the volume's way down there at 19. But there is also a bunch of strong volume right around here. We've got strong resistance at like 150, which is to be expected. But here, get rid of that. What I'm telling you right now is on the higher time frame, having a spinning top or a doji candle is incredibly bullish. These typically end up being reversal candles, especially on the weekly. Okay, there is big continuation that usually happen here where we do not go down to the downside. Okay, so if we just look back, here's another spinning top and doji as well, right? And then we had continuation all the way to the upside. Can I go back and find more spinning tops? Okay, that's a hammer and almost a dragonfly candle. That's not quite the same one that I'm looking for. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Here was another one. And then we had continuation. Here's another one. We had massive continuation. Here is another one. That wasn't at the top. Could be continuation or reversal, but it was continuation. Then when you have basically a hanging man, that tells you that it's going down. But at the bottom, that's what I'm looking for. That looks bullish. And then also on the stochastics RSI, we are way oversold. And this pretty much continues throughout most other charts, especially Bitcoin. Look at Bitcoin. We have the same chart pattern. Okay. We have the same candlestick of the spinning top. Boom. And it's bouncing off of a trend line here. That is bullish. For ETH, it's not quite the best spinning top, but it's still a spinning top. Reversal. Okay. This is super bullish. Do I have XRP? What is XRP? Same damn signal. What about Link? Same signal, a little bit stronger. Okay. What about SUI? Same thing. SUI has it as well. This is very, very bullish. And what we have to look forward to this week is interest rate cuts. And it looks like Polymarket and everyone says that it's basically a 90% chance we're not going to get an interest rate cut, which is a bummer. So we'll have to wait till possibly May for things to continue on with less quantitative easing and then also having some bullish action here, because basically whatever we have, good news, bad news, it just continues to go down here. But to me, it is looking like we have touched a bottom at the moment. It is very concerning if we break down below these reversal candles. If we break down below these reversal candles, we're probably going to touch the next level of support. But on the weekly, SUI's looking at just under $2. Solana, if it breaks down, it's pretty good support right there at like 110. ETH, I'm scared for. We break down to there, we're looking at 1600 ETH. And I don't want to see 1600 ETH because we've already, like, come on, stop the bleeding. We're already down 56%. That's ridiculous. Bitcoin is not quite as bad. Bitcoin is down 30%. Okay. But most people are calling for the end of the bull market. If I look at stocks, The S&P 500 has broken out of this trend line here. But what happened on the weekly? Okay, this is even more bullish. It's a hammer candle. Those guys are better than spinning tops. Spinning tops are somewhat of a 50-50 chance that it's a continuation either to the upside or to the downside. But hammers, more often than not, I would say 3/4 of the time, they end up breaking to the upside. We should have a strong week unless we get some bad news, basically. Okay. And what Trump is really trying to do is he's really trying to get this 10-year to go down. And I said this in my last video. We really want to see this 10-year come down to around 3%, because then you'll be refinancing your home. You'll possibly be buying a home, and you'll also be potentially buying a car and whatnot. There's just more money around. And look at this stuff. We're all oversold on everything. We're looking for something to bounces up, because typically, especially in the stock market, we don't see crashes that happen. Like here is a 11% correction, but it lasted over 120 days. Boom, before we found the local bottom. Here, okay, this crash has happened inside of 14 days, and we're already down about the same amount of 10%, which is nuts. Okay. Usually things go down faster than they go up, but once they go down real fast, they tend to bounce, especially when you're in an uptrend here. And again, this is a rising channel, so you knew that something was potentially probably going to pop at some point. But we got to look to see if there is going to be any more tariff news. And I think everyone's been overreacting because of that. And then number two, Wednesday is really the day we're probably going to see some high volatility in crypto with the stock market and also crypto, because if Powell does not say, hey, we're cutting 2 times this year, even if he stays at neutral, saying we're not cutting today, but we're going to in the future, that's going to be bullish. The stock market and crypto investors will go, hey, we're going to start investing. And we have the whole M2 money supply that is an all-time high, which we probably won't see a big bump until mid-February, where you see it just continuing to go up, but Bitcoin is going down, which is very interesting. That's dominance. Dominance seems to be hitting off on this trend line, which we'll probably continue to see dominance stay high, especially if institutions start continuing to buy. So I don't really see like this being a typical cycle where we have to have Bitcoin dominance go down below 50 before alts really start pushing. We're going to have so much money in the market that everything is still going to bump with Bitcoin being above 60%, if not higher, because it's going to be a reserve asset. But we do need some good news. But back to what I was saying about this week, okay, Powell, it is still somewhat bullish if he stays neutral and says that 2 rate cuts this year, but not today. That means we'll probably definitely get one in June and then later in quarter 3, quarter 4. But if he says, hey, we're going to get 3 rate cuts at pretty much every other meeting, we're going to cut rates, that's super bullish too. Really, the only thing that I think that is going to hurt the market is if he comes out and says, nah, you know what? We don't have really inflation where we want it, even though it's almost down to that 2%. We've gone from like 4.5 to 2.8. All the CPI numbers and unemployment numbers have been good. So you would think stock market would start being relieved, but it needs some sort of people telling that, hey, things are going to get better. Bad if Powell comes out and says, we're not cutting rates today, and then we're also only going to do one more at some point in the year. That's going to fucking suck for the market. And I don't want to fucking wait until May before I can get out of some of my trades and just constantly continue to hold on to stuff. But the hopium here is that's fundamentally, technically, yeah, we're right around 84,000. Okay. 4 hour. Things are pretty stagnant at the moment, but on the 4 hour, we're holding a trend line. Okay. And we're pretty at the top of resistance. So for Bitcoin with a ascending triangle as well. Okay. We've been hitting the roof quite often, which tells me it's eventually going to be exhausted from sellers. Because when we see these big wick candles, like what happened on Sunday, right? This was a very interesting candle. This is those traders that were trying to liquidate that whale for 500 million. They got it to 85, but then the guy added to his short positions, and it's not just him because it's a small amount compared to the 8 billion shorts out there currently, right? There's just limit orders getting hit at 85,000 and causing this to go down. But eventually it's going to be exhausted, right? And the same thing is for the downside is we're having limit orders hit when we're right around 82. So things are going up. So this is a moment for Bitcoin, but I tend to believe that it's possibly going to pump to the upside before it pumps down to the downside. And again, because what I showed you here on the CME gap, we have a CME gap at 85 to 86,000. So we at least needed to bump up from here. And this is on the 4 hour. And currently right now on the CME, we are hitting what used to be resistance is somewhat now turning into support. What do I mean by that? Well, if I just draw, okay, hit here, boom, goes down, hit here, goes down. Okay, now it goes up, touch, fill this guy, and then we might break down below support again. But I do feel like we're probably going to get some sort of a bounce to 85 to 86 for the CME gap because they always get filled. Boom. They always get filled. Now we're back above 84,000. It's funny how CME is just so lagging behind the actual market here. And hold on, let me get back to that. And I just want to clean up my chart because it's yucky. I don't like having that on there. But the price target for this breakout, I'd like to see some volume with it. Okay. Because on the weekends, dude, Sunday is just getting exhausting because we always seem to have somewhat of doesn't matter if the market closes Friday good or bad. Usually Saturday, we have some sort of a pump. And then Sunday, when the Asian market opens, we have a massive dump. And then we have a CME gap. And during the London market, it'll usually get filled. And then Monday's usually bad for stocks, or has been for the last 3 months. Then we continue to just crash. But what's going on right now? We're kind of having a reverse. And I showed you it's because of that weekly, those doji candles. But if I come back to this price target is right around 90,000. Okay. And it's arbitrary. So do I think this is actually going to break out and hit 90 right away? No, it's probably going to hit 88. 88 is probably going to be the line. And I also have a trend line here at the top. So if I draw the trend line down a little bit more, and this trend line has been strong all of like 2024, 2025. So realistically, we'd hit 88 or so. That's what I'm looking at. But that's what we have to look for at least this week. I will come back. This is Johnny Crypto here to help you guys make some effing money. Finally, Ethereum needs to get over 2,000, psychological number. Okay, we'll probably see a bump in Bitcoin to 85.5 to 86 before I really see much downward pressure. And Wednesday is the fundamental news that we need to look for. Okay, technically, things are looking good. Fundamentally, we will see.